Today's topic is carotid artery evaluation. We use many modalities to evaluate carotid arteries. Basically, I'm going to elaborate more on carotid Doppler. Now, there are common indications of Doppler imaging of the carotid arteries, that is carotid groove, cerebrovascular stroke, transient ischemic attack, syncope, risk factor for atherosclerosis like diabetes, hypertension, smoking, and all that. Preoperative evaluation before major surgeries, follow-up of the carotid endarterectomy or the carotid stent placement. In case of trauma, evaluation of the pulsatile nick masses, whether that is aneurysm, extravascular mass with the transmitted pulsation, or evaluation of the inflammatory disease like Takayasu arthritis or a temporal arthritis. Now, methods of evaluation, the carotid Doppler ultrasound. The advantages is it is readily available, it's cost effective and non-invasive study. And disadvantage, it is a subjective evaluation. For CT angiography, CT angiography further characterizes for significant when the significant stenosis is identified on the Doppler. And advantages is that it's a cross-sectional imaging with better characterization of the stenosis and plaques, and it is a minimal invasive study. And disadvantages is it uses iodinated contrast media, and it comes with associated risk and radiation exposure. In MR angiography, we use a non-contrast study like time of flight protocol. Advantages is non-invasive, and disadvantage, it takes longer time and it is contraindicated in the patient with metallic implants and non-compatible pacemakers and the patient having claustrophobia. The gold standard is digital subtraction angiography, and it also guides the intervention if required. Now, coming to the ultrasound, there are some limitation of the carotid ultrasound that I would like to say. Short muscular neck, high carotid bifurcation, tortuous vessels, calcified plaques, which might hamper the visualization. Surgical suture, postoperative hematoma, and central line all causes soft tissue edema, and depth visualization is limited. Inability to lie flat on due to cardiac diseases. Inability to rotate the head or hyperextend the head in case of arthritis, and the uncooperative vision. Now, when we look at the carotid wall, the carotid artery wall on ultrasound, we can see 3 layers. The intima is innermost thin layer covered with the lining of endothelial cell, and it is thin echogenic line, as in here. The media is a middle layer with elastic and connective tissue in the CCA, and smooth muscle mixed with the connective tissue in ICA, and mixed contents in the bulk. Hypoechoic zone, which is seen here, it represents intima media. The adventitia is the outermost echogenic layer, as in here. It is composed of fibroblast and the connective tissue, and it is a echogenic reflective layer. Now, few important things which we evaluate while doing the carotid Doppler is intima media thickness, when we find the plaque, the morphology of the plaque, evaluation of the stenosis, more important in ICA and CCA levels, near occlusion or total occlusion, ECA stenosis, less important, and the vertebral artery and the subclavian stele. Now, intima media thickness, it's a combined thickness of intima and the media, because we cannot separate the 2 layers perfectly. We require high frequency linear transducer and the harmonic imaging, and it is usually obtained on the far wall. Intima media thickens with the increasing age in a uniform way within the straight arterial segment. All known major vascular risk factors like diabetes, hyperlipidemia, smoking, high blood pressure, obesity, they will contribute to increased intima media thickness and its progression. And as a mirror of these processes, IMD provides a tool to investigate normal aging as well as preclinical atherosclerosis. Normal intima media thickness is less than 0.7 millimeter. Usually more than 1 mm is abnormal, and more than 2 mm is called as a plaque. For characterization of the plaque, when we have to determine its location, whether it is in anterior, posterior wall, whether it is in proximal or the distal location in the vessel, the size with the maximum thick area, the plaque configuration, whether it is concentric or eccentric, the plaque surface, whether it is clearly delineated, poorly delineated, or not delineated, the margins of the plaque, whether it is smooth or irregular, and the ulcer, which is usually in a plaque more than 2 depression. The plaque composition can be seen as a homogeneous or a heterogeneous. The echogenicity is either it is an echogenic or an hypoechoic. Echogenic, it is with or without acoustic shadowing depending upon the calcium content. The mobility of the plaque, whether it is showing cranial longitudinal movement or not, which are high risk plaques, and the luminal stenosis it causes. The sonographic appearance of the plaque. Here we can see a homogeneous hypoechoic plaque with a smooth surface. Another one is an echogenic plaque with a smooth surface. This is a heterogeneous plaque with a calcification inside. Here we can see a heterogeneous plaque where we can see some anechoic component, a breach in the surface, and on color Doppler, it is filling in with the color signal. It says that it is an ulcer. This is another plaque with a heterogeneous plaque with dense calcification and after shadowing. And the one of the plaque which is densely calcified plaque, which prevents the visualization of its luminal characteristics. Now, favorable prognosis. Fairly echogenic and homogeneous plaque surface. Plaque surface is smooth and clearly delineated. It is calcified. It's a short plaque, thin plaque, less than 4 Unfavorable prognosis is more important, predominantly collucent with the plaque suggested only by the echogenic spots. And the surface is poorly delineated. Long plaque, that is more than 1 centimeter, plaque diameter is more than 4 longitudinal pulsatile movement. It is very important. Now, ICA and the CCA stenosis. Most common cause is atherosclerosis, and it commonly affects carotid bulb and the proximal ICA. Stenosis is usually calculated as a diameter or an area reduction on ultrasound. Now, ICA stenosis, the Society of Radiologists in Ultrasound consensus, there are many, these criteria are provided. In the normal, internal carotid artery peak systolic velocities are less than 125 centimeter per second, and there is no plaque or intimal thickening visible sonographically. Additional criteria will include ICA and CCA peak systolic velocity ratio less than 2, and the ICA end diastolic velocity is less than 40. In less than 50% ICA stenosis, ICA peak systolic velocities are less than 125 centimeter per second, and a plaque or intimal thickening is visible sonographically. An additional criteria will include ratio of ICA and CCA peak systolic velocity is less than 2, and ICA end diastolic velocity is less than 40 centimeter per second. In 50 to 69% ICA stenosis, which is ICA peak systolic velocity is elevated between 125 to 230 centimeter per second, and the plaque is visible sonographically. An additional criteria will include internal carotid and common carotid peak systolic velocity ratio of between 2 and 4. And ICA end diastolic velocity is between 40 to 100 centimeter per second. The significant ICA stenosis, that is 70% stenosis, but less than near occlusion. ICA peak systolic velocities are more than 230 centimeter per second, and visible plaque and luminal narrowing is seen at grayscale. The color and color Doppler ultrasound, one color Doppler ultrasound. The additional criteria will include ICA and common carotid peak systolic velocity ratio more than 4, and end diastolic velocity is more than 100. Now, near occlusion of the ICA velocity parameter, they don't apply because it is tight stenosis, and velocities might be high or may not be detected. And diagnosis is made primarily by demonstrating a markedly narrowed lumen on color or power Doppler. And total occlusion, there is no detectable flow, and compensatory increased velocities in the adjacent ECA. Now, these are just few examples where this is normal ICA bifurcation. This is 50 to 69% stenosis where the velocities are elevated till 180. Left internal carotid artery showing high velocities of 400 centimeter per second. And this is a trickle flow, which is near total occlusion. And this is a completely occluded with the reversal of the flow, which is demonstrated as a systolic deceleration and early reversal in the diastolic flow, which is called third flow. Now, ECA stenosis are not important, but whenever there is a bruit detected, then it has to be documented that it is not from ICA, it is from the ECA. We evaluate the ECA in most of the cases. The ECA is important, also important collateral pathway in case of severe stenosis and occlusion of the internal carotid artery, and it shows a low resistance flow which can be confused with ICA waveforms. And in the high-grade stenosis of the ECA is an important collateral pathway for feeding ICA. Now, the important thing is vertebral artery evaluation, which we always do in ultrasound. We can see a vertebral artery in V2 segment in the intervertebral foramina, where it can be evaluated for its waveforms. This is the vertebral artery seen in the this one intervertebral region. Subclavian stele, which is important topic. Patient usually presents with the weakness or absent pulse in the upper arm, or the differences in the blood pressure on the two sides. There can be arm claudication, which is less common, or the neurological symptoms like dizziness, vertigo, syncope, visual symptoms, ataxia, weakness, or the sensory disturbances. When the flow velocity increases across the focal stenosis in subclavian artery, the pressure in that vascular segment drops, and it causes an abrupt decline in the flow velocity in the vertebral artery, thereby stealing the blood from the posterior circulation. And if we try to augment this by arm hyperemia, that is BP cuff applied for 3 to 5 minutes and then released, the waveforms show intensification of the stele in vertebral artery. Now, these are the various waveforms where the first one is antegrade flow, is a normal antegrade flow with a sharp systolic peak and smooth diastolic flow. This is the early stele where there is an antegrade flow with a transient sharp decline in the mid systole causing two systolic peak, and the nadir of the notch is above the diastolic level. The third one is called bunny waveform. There is a mid systolic cleft which is at or below the baseline with the antegrade diastolic flow. This is the way the bunny is seen. The more advanced is a biphasic flow with the increased reversal and decreased diastolic flow. And this is the complete reversal. Other diseases which can be evaluated on carotid ultrasound are the aneurysm, arthritis, carotid body tumor, dissection, fibromuscular dysplasia, intimal flap, which is less sensitive, pseudoaneurysm, and radiation injury. But these are a topic by itself, and I won't be describing it. Thank you so much.